The week that followed Okolo's win felt like the longest 7 days of his life. Every morning he woke up wondering if it had all been a dream. Every evening he checked his phone obsessively, waiting for a call from Mrs. Nuosu. The waiting was torture, made worse by the fact that word of his win had spread throughout Enugu like wildfire. Suddenly, everyone knew Okolo Mbanusi, the barrow pusher who had won 1 million naira, the young man who had asked for products instead of cash. His interview, which Onga had posted on their social media pages, had gone viral. Thousands of people were sharing it, commenting on it, praising his wisdom. This is the kind of mindset young people need. Not thinking about enjoyment, but about building something lasting. May God bless this young man. But viral fame came with its own challenges. Distant relatives who had never acknowledged his existence suddenly appeared at his family's door, claiming kinship and asking for help. Neighbors who had looked down on them for years now smiled and greeted them warmly, their eyes hungry with expectation. Even strangers stopped Okolo in the market, asking for small something to help them through hard times. This is what happens when a poor man gets money, his father observed grimly one evening after they had turned away yet another relative they had never heard of. Suddenly, everyone is your brother. Okolo was learning a harsh lesson. Success attracted not just celebration, but also parasites, people who wanted to feed off his fortune without contributing anything. It would have been easy to become cynical, to harden his heart against everyone. But Mama Adeze reminded him of something important. Don't forget the people who helped you when you had nothing, she counseled. But also don't let people who did nothing for you guilt you into giving them everything. There is a difference between gratitude and foolishness. On the fourth day of waiting, Okolo returned to Ogbete main market to push his barrow. People were shocked. Okolo, you are now a millionaire. Why are you still pushing barrow? He smiled at the question. Until the money is in my hand, or until Onga approves my business proposal, I am still a barrow pusher. And even if I become a businessman tomorrow, I will never forget that pushing this barrow taught me everything I know about hard work and persistence. The truth was, Okolo needed the routine, needed the familiar rhythm of work to keep him grounded while he waited for news that could change everything. Besides, he still needed to eat, and the prize money hadn't been dispersed yet. On the sixth day, as evening shadows began to fall across the market, Okolo's phone rang. The number made his heart skip. Mrs. Nuosu. His hands trembled as he answered. Hello? Mr. Mbanusi, good evening. This is Mrs. Nuosu from Onga. Good evening, Ma. He could barely breathe. I have news. Can you come to the Onga regional office tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock? The managing director wants to meet you personally. Okolo's heart sank. A personal meeting. That could mean anything. Maybe they were going to tell him no, gently, face to face. Maybe they thought his request was too complicated, too unusual. Maybe they just wanted to give him the cash and send him on his way. Yes, Ma. I will be there. Excellent. And Mr. Mbanusi? Dress nicely. This is an important meeting. That night, Okolo couldn't sleep. His mother noticed his anxiety and sat with him in the darkness. Whatever happens tomorrow, she said softly, you have already shown more wisdom than most men twice your age. If they say no to your proposal, you will take the money and find another way to build something lasting. You are not the same boy who started collecting sachets. You have grown. Her words comforted him, but sleep still wouldn't come. He lay awake until dawn, imagining every possible scenario, preparing himself for disappointment, even while hoping desperately for approval. The next morning, Okolo wore his father's only good shirt, borrowed trousers from a neighbor, and shoes that Mama Adeze had insisted on buying for him when she heard about the meeting. He looked in the cracked mirror in their room and barely recognized himself. He looked almost respectable. The Onga Regional Office was an imposing building in the heart of Enugu's business district. Okolo had passed by it countless times while pushing his barrow, never imagining he would one day walk through its doors as a guest, not a beggar. The security guard checked his name against a list and waved him through with a respect that would have been unthinkable a week ago. Inside, the air-conditioned reception area felt like another world. Everything was clean, organized, professional. A receptionist smiled at him warmly. "Mr. Mbanusi? Welcome. Mrs. Nuosu is expecting you. Please, follow me." He was led down a corridor lined with awards and photographs of Onga products. His heart pounded with each step. Finally, they reached a large office with Managing Director, Southeast Region written on the door. Mrs. Nuosu met him outside, her face unreadable. "Good morning, Mr. Mbanusi. Are you ready?" "I think so, Ma." "Good. Remember, just be yourself. That's what got you here." She knocked and opened the door. The office was spacious, with large windows overlooking the city. Behind a massive desk sat a distinguished-looking man in his 50s, wearing a crisp suit and an expression of keen interest. He stood when Okolo entered. "Mr. Mbanusi, please, come in, come in." His voice was warm, welcoming. "I'm Mr. Okonkwo, Managing Director for the Southeast Region. It's a pleasure to meet you." He extended his hand, and Okolo shook it, amazed at how surreal this moment felt. A week ago, men like Mr. Okonkwo wouldn't have noticed him if he was dying on the street. Now they were shaking hands as equals. "Please, sit." Mr. Okonkwo gestured to a comfortable chair. "Can we get you anything? Water? Soft drink?" "Water is fine, sir. Thank you." Once they were settled, Mr. Okonkwo leaned back in his chair, studying Okolo with undisguised fascination. "Mr. Mbanusi, I've watched your interview at least 5 times. Each time, I'm more impressed. Do you know how many people have won prizes from our promotions over the years?" "No, sir." "Thousands. And do you know how many of them have asked for products instead of cash?" Okolo shook his head. "1. You." Mr. Okonkwo smiled broadly. "In 15 years of running these promotions, you are the first winner to demonstrate such business acumen, the first to see beyond immediate gratification to long-term wealth building. Do you understand how rare that is?" I just don't want the money to finish, and then we go back to being poor, sir." "Exactly." Mr. Okonkwo slammed his palm on the desk enthusiastically. "Exactly. Most winners think about what they can buy. You thought about what you can build. That's the difference between consumers and entrepreneurs." He opened a folder on his desk. "I've discussed your proposal with the corporate office in Lagos. We've analyzed the feasibility, looked at the market dynamics, considered the logistics." He paused, and Okolo's heart nearly stopped. "And we have decided to not only approve your request, but to enhance it." Okolo blinked. "Sir?" "We will supply you with Onga products worth 1 million naira, as you requested. But more than that, we want to make you an official Onga distributor for the Ogbete main market area. We'll provide you with training on inventory management, sales strategies, and business operations. We'll give you preferential pricing so you can compete effectively. And for the first 6 months, we'll assign a business development officer to mentor you and ensure your success." Okolo couldn't breathe. This was more than he had dared to hope for. Way more. "We see this as an investment," Mr. Okonkwo continued. "An investment in you, yes, but also an investment in changing the narrative around our promotions. We want people to see that our prizes can be life-changing in the truest sense. And we want to use your story to inspire other young Nigerians to think entrepreneurially. Sir, I don't know what to say. Say yes, Mr. Mbanusi. Mr. Okonkwo leaned forward, his eyes twinkling. Say yes to becoming an ONGA distributor. Say yes to building a business. Say yes to changing your family's story forever. Okolo's vision blurred with tears. Yes, sir. Yes to all of it. Mr. Okonkwo stood and extended his hand again. Then congratulations, Mr. Mbanusi. Welcome to the ONGA family. Your journey from barrow pusher to businessman officially begins today. The next few hours were a whirlwind. Paperwork was signed, photographs were taken, plans were made for the official launch of Okolo Mbanusi Enterprises, official ONGA distributor. Mrs. Nwosu explained that the company would help him find a small shop space to rent, would deliver his initial stock within 2 weeks, and would provide all the necessary support to get his business off the ground. We're also going to feature your story in a national advertising campaign, she added. Your face will be on billboards, in newspapers, on television. You're going to be famous, Mr. Mbanusi. Famous. The word felt absurd. He didn't want to be famous. He just wanted his mother to stop crying from hunger. He wanted his father to have a reason to wake up in the morning. He wanted to prove that poverty wasn't a permanent sentence. But if fame came along with those things, he would accept it. When Okolo finally left the ONGA office that afternoon, he felt like he was walking on air. Everything was set. Everything was happening. The impossible dream was becoming tangible reality. He went straight to Ogbete Main Market to tell Mama Adeze. When he found her, she was in the middle of the lunch rush, but she stopped everything when she saw his face. They said yes, he exclaimed. Not just yes, but they're making me an official distributor. They're going to train me, help me find a shop, everything. Mama Adeze let out a shriek of joy that stopped the entire market section. Within minutes, a crowd had gathered again, and Okolo found himself repeating the story over and over. The celebration was spontaneous and genuine, with people ululating, dancing, praising God. But the most important celebration was still ahead. Okolo practically ran home, bursting through the door of their small room with such energy that his parents jumped in alarm. "It happened," he shouted. "Everything happened. Onga said yes. They're making me a distributor. We're going to have a real business." His mother screamed. His father stood up so quickly his chair fell over backward. And then they were all talking at once, laughing and crying, and barely able to believe that this was real life and not some beautiful dream. "You did it, Okolo," his father said, gripping his son's shoulders. "You actually did it." "We did it, Papa. We're going to do this together. The three of us." The next 2 weeks were the busiest of Okolo's life. With Onga's help, he found a small shop space not far from Ogbete Main Market. It wasn't fancy, just a simple room with a counter and storage space, but it was theirs. He painted it himself with his father's help, choosing the Onga colors, red and white. His mother, energized by hope for the first time in years, took charge of organizing the inventory system. She might not have gone to school much, but she knew how to count, and she learned quickly. The business development officer Onga assigned to them, a patient woman named Miss Chioma, taught them everything. How to track inventory, how to price competitively, how to handle customers, how to manage cash flow, how to keep proper records. Okolo absorbed it all like a sponge, asking questions, taking notes, determined to not just succeed, but to excel. On the day the first delivery arrived, 3 large trucks pulled up outside their new shop, filled with Onga products. Cartons of seasoning cubes, bottles of cooking oil, spices, everything. Neighbors gathered to watch, amazed at the transformation of the Mbanusi family. "Is this not the same family that used to beg for food?" someone whispered. "God is wonderful. Oh, see how he has lifted them." Ikenna, the barrow pusher who had mocked Okolo most consistently, stood at the edge of the crowd watching silently. When Okolo caught his eye, Ikenna looked away, shame written across his face. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Ikenna approached hesitantly. "Okolo, I wanted to say," he struggled with the words. "I was wrong. About everything. I called you a fool for collecting those sachets. I laughed at you. I'm sorry." Okolo looked at the man who had been his chief tormentor and felt something unexpected: compassion. Ikenna was still pushing a barrow, still stuck in the same place they had both been, still letting bitterness poison his chances of something better. "Ikenna, you're still young. You're still strong. It's not too late for you to change your story too." "How? I'm not lucky like you." "It wasn't luck. It was work. It was persistence. It was refusing to accept that poverty was my final destination." Okolo paused, then made a decision. "Come work for me. I need someone to help with deliveries. The pay won't be much at first, but it's better than pushing barrow for strangers. And maybe, if you work hard, we can grow this business together." Ikenna's eyes widened with shock. "You would hire me? After how I treated you?" "I would hire you because I know what it's like to be where you are, and because I believe people can change." That moment cemented something important in Okolo's mind. Success wasn't just about lifting yourself up. It was about reaching back to pull others up too. The grand opening of Okolo Mbanusi Enterprises happened 3 weeks after his win. Onga made it a proper event, with banners, refreshments, and even local media coverage. Mr. Okonkwo himself came to cut the ribbon. "This young man," he told the gathered crowd and cameras, "represents the best of what Nigerian youth can be. Not waiting for government handouts, not looking for shortcuts, but using legitimate opportunities to build something lasting. Onga is proud to support him." The shop opened to a flood of customers. The same food sellers who had saved sachets for Okolo now became his loyal customers. Mama Adeze was his first official buyer, purchasing cartons of Onga seasoning for her restaurant. "You see," she said, counting out her payment, "I told you to remember me when you won. Now I'm your customer." They both laughed, but Okolo made sure to give her a special discount. She had believed in him when he was nothing. He would never forget that. The business grew steadily. Okolo's reputation for fair prices and quality products spread through the market. Within 3 months, he had paid back every debt his family owed. Within 6 months, he had moved his parents out of their single room into a proper 2-bedroom apartment. His father, who had spent years sitting in silence, came alive again. He threw himself into the business with an energy that shocked everyone who knew him. Having purpose, having a reason to wake up each morning, transformed him back into the man he had been before poverty broke him. His mother bloomed too. The constant worry lines on her face began to fade. She gained weight, looked healthier, smiled more. The vegetable seller had become a businesswoman, helping to manage a growing enterprise. 6 months after winning, Okolo was featured in a national newspaper article titled "From Barrow Pusher to Business Owner, the Onga Success Story." The article detailed his journey, his wisdom in requesting products instead of cash, and how his business was thriving. The day that article was published, Okolo received an unexpected visitor at his shop. Chidinma. She stood at the entrance, looking uncertain, her eyes taking in the busy shop, the customers, the clear evidence of success. When Okolo saw her, his first instinct was a complicated mix of old pain and new indifference. Chidinma, he acknowledged neutrally. Okolo, I read about you in the newspaper. I wanted to congratulate you. Thank you. An awkward silence stretched between them. Finally, Chidinma spoke again, her voice small. I made a mistake, leaving you. I see that now. Okolo looked at the woman he had once loved desperately and felt nothing. No anger, no longing, no bitterness. She was just someone from his past, someone who belonged to a version of himself that no longer existed. You made the choice that made sense to you at the time, he said gently. I don't blame you. Poverty is hard. You wanted security. I understand. But if I had just waited, if I had believed in you, then you would have stayed for the wrong reason, for what I could give you, not for who I am. I don't want that, Chidinma. I deserve someone who sees value in me even when I have nothing. Her eyes filled with tears, but Okolo felt no satisfaction in her regret. Revenge, he had learned, was empty. Moving forward was better than looking back. I wish you well with Emeka, he said sincerely. I hope you'll be happy. She left quietly, and Okolo returned to his work. That chapter was closed. New chapters were being written every day. A year after his win, Okolo Mbanusi Enterprises had become one of the largest ONGA distributors in Enugu. He had hired 5 employees, including Ikenna, who had proven to be a hard-working and loyal team member. He had expanded to a larger shop space. He had even begun distributing other products beyond ONGA. His success had inspired others too. Several young people in the market had started collecting sachets from various promotional campaigns, hoping to replicate his success. Some won small prizes, others won nothing. But they were all trying, all believing that change was possible. That, Okolo thought, might be the greatest victory of all, proving that ordinary people could achieve extraordinary things through persistence and wisdom. On the 1-year anniversary of his win, Anga organized a celebration at his shop. Mr. Okonkwo was there, along with Mrs. Nmosu and many of the people who had been part of his journey. Mama Adeze stood proudly near the front, having become something of a celebrity herself as the woman who first helped the famous Okolo. During the celebration, Okolo was asked to give a speech. He stood before the crowd, looking out at the faces of people who had witnessed his transformation from barrow pusher to businessman, and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. 1 year ago, he began, I was collecting empty seasoning sachets from the ground, and people thought I was crazy. They laughed at me. They called me a fool. They said people like me don't win anything. He paused, looking at his parents, who stood together with pride written across their faces. But I want to tell every young person here, every person struggling with poverty, every person who feels invisible and forgotten, don't let anyone tell you what you can't achieve. Don't let poverty define your future. Don't let circumstances limit your vision. His voice grew stronger, more passionate. I was a barrow pusher. I had nothing. But I had persistence. I had faith. I had the courage to try even when failure seemed certain. And most importantly, when opportunity came, I had the wisdom to treat it with respect. He held up an Onga sachet, the same type he had collected hundreds of. This little sachet that everyone threw away as garbage became my ticket to a new life. Not because of magic, but because I saw value where others saw trash. I saw possibility where others saw impossibility. The crowd erupted in applause, but Okolo raised his hand. Success is not about luck. It's about preparation meeting opportunity. It's about making wise decisions even when you're desperate. It's about thinking long-term even when you're suffering short-term. And it's about remembering, always remembering, where you came from, so you can help others rise too. As the celebration continued around him, Okolo stepped outside for a moment of quiet reflection. He looked up at the evening sky, thinking about the journey that had brought him here, from the depths of poverty to the heights of success, from being invisible to being celebrated, from hopelessness to hope. A young boy approached him, thin and poorly dressed, clearly struggling with poverty just as Okolo had been. "Oga, please, sir, I am hungry. Can you help me?" Okolo looked at the boy and saw himself a year ago. He reached into his pocket and pulled out some money, but then stopped. "What's your name?" "Chukwudi, sir." "Chukwudi, I will give you money for food, but I want to tell you something important. Poverty is not your destiny. You are young. You are strong. Don't just accept handouts. Look for opportunities. Work hard. Be persistent. And when your chance comes, be wise enough to recognize it and brave enough to seize it. Can you do that?" The boy nodded, his eyes wide. Okolo gave him the money, then added, "Come to my shop tomorrow. Maybe I can find some work for you. Not charity, work. Because I believe you deserve a chance, just like someone once believed in me." As the boy ran off, promising to return, Okolo smiled. The cycle was continuing, but in a better direction. From barrow pusher to businessman to mentor. From receiving help to giving help. He had turned garbage into gold, desperation into determination, impossibility into inspiration. And somewhere in Enugu, in markets and streets and small rooms, just like the one he had grown up in, other young people were watching his story, learning from it, believing that they too could change their circumstances. Okolo Mbanusi had not just won 1 million naira. He had won something far more valuable. Proof that the human spirit, when combined with persistence and wisdom, could overcome anything. The barrow pusher's dream had come true, and in the process, he had shown thousands of others that their dreams could come true too. Do you like this story? Where are you watching from? Please like, share, and subscribe for more. Thank you.